Mr. Henry Kwek.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I stand in support of the bill. I spoke to many residents, and there's a consensus that fake news has a profound effect on the world. The question now is how to deal with this issue. And it is this: how can we, our society, best balance our individual's desire to free speech with the desire to be protected by the tremendous impact of irresponsible or even worse, deliberate falsehoods weaponized by the speed and reach of social media. Many of us in this chamber are aware that there's no silver bullet to combat fake news, online or offline. The best that we can do is to create laws so as to create an environment for responsible speech anchored by an informed citizenry. Indeed, when the demand for fake news diminishes, no supply of fake news, no matter how large a supply, can seriously harm society. Our desired outcome should not just be to weed out irresponsible speeches that diminish our society. We must also ensure that responsible speech thrives in society, because healthy private and public discourse is the means for people and society to reflect and move forward. And that brings me to my main point today. After our robust debate today, we must do more to communicate to our people what constitutes responsible speech. A fair number of my residents have seen the various news articles, WhatsApp messages, and even Michelle Chong's recent interview of Minister K. Shanmugam. But there's still a much-needed desire for clarity on what this entire framework of various laws mean. For example, POFMA doesn't target opinion. It's clear from what the various government officials and ministers have said. But at the same time, certain offensive and divisive speeches are restricted using different laws. What people do not understand is that there are several laws, each targeting different kinds of harmful speech with remedies that varies in strength. These laws include POFMA and POHA, Penal Code Section 298, Section 298A, Sedation Act, Section 3(4), Maintenance of Religious Harmony Act, Section 8, Contempt of Courts, sections on scandalizing of courts, and subjudicial contempt. These laws are complex to understand by themselves, and it's even harder for most Singaporeans to understand how it works altogether. Therefore, it is very important that we unpack for our people in simple terms what constitutes responsible speech, the various laws, the principles behind these laws, our unique circumstances and vulnerabilities, and who are these laws meant for. Now that there's considerable public attention on responsible speech, let us ride on this wave of interest and share more on this topic. When people understand better how the different laws work, their powers and limitations, then they can see that the government does not have blanket power to take down whatever news that the executive do not like. Only certain types of speech that are harmful to societies can be dealt with according to the law. And a good place to start is to do so in our schools, especially at the tertiary institutes, where there's much discussions about this law today. I've seen a deep conviction by MinLaw to create an overall framework for responsible speeches. I hope we can see a whole of government effort, including MOE, to communicate to that clearly to our people in simplified manners. Next, I would like MinLaw to clarify on one matter. Under the law, there's a defense of reasonable excuse for the internet intermediaries. Does it mean that an intermediary can choose not to comply and evoke defense if it hurts their profit to comply? Lastly, I would like to end by just suggesting that Singapore actively contribute to the global discourse on how we deal with deliberate online falsehoods. Indeed, there are many legislators all over the world watching over our deliberations in this chamber today. Deliberate online falsehood is something that affects all societies and does not automatically and neatly stop at any border. In the long run, our best bet is to shape the larger environment in a positive way. Let me now conclude. In my speech on the motion on this matter last year, I quoted Washington Post's motto, "Democracy dies from darkness." Democracy cannot survive and thrive without a public discourse informed by facts, truth, and transparency, because public discourse is the means for society to reflect collectively. Therefore, I support the bill It strengthens our framework for responsible speech. It seeks to root out merchants of mistruth or special interests, and worse still, foreign influence that seeks to deliberately manipulate and destabilize our societies through fake news. But we must go beyond crafting this excellent legal framework. We must communicate clearly and simply to our people what responsible speech entails, factoring our unique circumstances as a small, multicultural, multi-religious, and multiracial city-state. Because what matters is not just that ensuring that fake news have no place in Singapore, but also to ensure that our laws do not unintentionally curtail healthy and necessary discourse or diminish the marketplace of ideals that healthy democracies like Singapore require. With that, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I stand in support of the bill. Thank you.